you ready to heal your mind, body, and soul from the inside out? Welcome to the Real Healing Institute show with Michelle Sinclair, divine healer and spiritual teacher, where spiritual transformation meets practical guidance to break free from limiting beliefs, subconscious pain, and energetic blocks. This is a powerful space for those seeking true healing and enlightenment. Michelle's teachings are rooted in her deep study of the Christ letters and the spiritual awakening that came from her unwavering dedication to divine truth. She helps individuals navigate their inner healing journey through subconscious soul healing techniques and spiritual teachings by uplifting the vibrational resonance of our thoughts, words, and actions that shape the very fabric of our lives. It is time to learn the profound understandings of universal love. The Real Healing Institute show starts now.
Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Pat, and I get to take this beautiful, beautiful ride with the most incredible Michelle Sinclair. Today's show is, I want to call it a little conundrum for people that are not aware. It is quite the mental dilemma, the law of faith in both good and evil. What is it? How does it work? Can you imagine a world where you believe in what exists in it? Do you actually believe that you have control or power or influence, shall we say, over how your life turns out? Michelle, what a great show, right? I mean, we could probably spend 3 hours talking about this, just talking story, right, from our own lives.
Totally.
So, look, there are some people that believe they have no influence over their lives. And, for many of us early on in our religious journeys, we basically were told that until, of course, my dad remarried and there was my stepmom, who absolutely believed in the unlimited, unconditional love of Jesus. And the Christ letters are very, very pertinent in how we understand that. So both you and I have had to do a turnaround, so to speak, in how we look at our lives and the gratitude and the power that we have and was given to us. But why do some people just see their lives as the gloom, the doom, the misfortune?
It's because they believe in it, and it is patterns that repeat from the past, right? They speak and they'll even say, nothing ever changes. Tomorrow's the same as, yesterday, and it just keeps going on that way. And they truly believe this, and because they believe it, it is. That's it. They've put their faith in that tomorrow's not going to be any better. And they'll even speak about it. They'll even say things, and our words, seal those things in and make them truly real. I had a friend one time, and, she was looking to make more money and had felt like, oh, nothing ever changes. I said, but listen to how you're speaking. So all you need to do is change the way that you're speaking and change the belief behind it, and it'll change. And it did for her in a very short order in her life. But this change, she's now making double the money that she was making. And then she went back into her old patterns and self-sabotaged and got rid of all the goodness that had come into her life because she didn't actually believe in it. And so if you don't believe in it, it's going to go away.
I want to talk about the self-fulfilling prophecy, which was actually an empirical study that was done. Now, let me put the caveat out there. So don't you all start emailing me. The self-fulfilling prophecy study was done before the ethical considerations were fine-tuned in the world of psychology. Why am I saying that? Well, when you go into a school and you're doing studies with kids and you give half of the kids an opportunity to create amazement and the other half not, that is now considered not ethical. However, that study was done. And that study proved a lot to us, right? I mean, the self-fulfilling prophecy is real.
100%. Yeah, it's whatever you hold most dear to you. But the problem with this is that most people don't know what is in their subconscious mind. If I'm working with my clients, they're coming for some issue, let's say they're depressed or they have anxiety, something like this. So I'm then taking their presenting issue, this feeling that they have, the belief that they have, and we're following it back and we're finding it. And almost always, but not always, but so often, whatever will come up, they'll be like, oh, wow, like, I don't even remember that. Or I remember it, but it wasn't significant to me. So I thought, but it will have been a moment in time that changed the way that they believe. And it's forever. So I had someone who apparently was quite a grumpy person, before they worked with me, and they were coming for something totally unrelated to the results that they ended up getting. But I regressed them back. This is an older man, and they go to the hospital where they're very young, and they're given something by someone, and they didn't want it, and so it's like they're throwing this temper tantrum of, this isn't what I want. And so flash forward 80 years, and this person was, kind of miserable. And so I imagine they always had that feeling within them of, I'm not getting what I want. And so as soon as that was cleared away, all of a sudden this person is nice, they're pleasant, because they don't have that feeling anymore. And so often people will say things like, this is just the way that I am, or, this is just, and it's not. It is not the way that you are. It's not at all. But we identify with it. Our ego says that's me. And then we feed it even more. And then it plays out in our life.
It's very interesting we're talking about this. I play a sport and I play a lot of doubles in that sport. But there's one person I play with who is every point really angry, really, right? And then when I miss a shot, he says this one phrase to me, and I had to stop him to tell him to stop. Now, let me tell you why. Because 2 weeks ago, he did it over and over again, and I fell. I never fall in my sport. And the word was, oh, unlucky. That was an unlucky shot. And so it was like, I tried to say, no, dude, that wasn't unlucky. That was just bad form. But he didn't stop. And he kept saying, every time I missed a point, not that often, so let me just be clear. But what happened to me that day? I fell. And I fell hard. The good news is I'm a motorcycle rider, so I know how to fall. But you could hear me fall. And I just put it together the other night talking to Linda. And I said, did you hear how many times he told me I was unlucky? Now, put that together in your area of expertise, and let's explain what happened to people with that. Because I do believe that we call into our future and our present not only what we think, but the minute you speak them words, like somebody telling you unlucky over and over again. Hello, right, Michelle? What?
100%. They have cursed you. They don't know that they're doing this, but that's what a curse is. So if somebody, this is the thing too, a lot of people have problems with tarot readers or this or that, which, I don't. It's the same as anything else, right? Drugs could be used to help you when you're in a whatever kind of situation, or they could be used for not. It's the exact same. So if someone is saying, oh, this horrible thing is maybe going to happen to you. What have they done? They have contaminated your consciousness. Now, if you believe in that, meaning you consider it and you think, oh, I hope, what if? Oh, I don't know. You've now believed in it. Rather than the love of the divine, which will allow, only good things to come to you. But people don't realize how much faith, how much belief that they use in their lives. And it's truly every day that we believe in certain things and they play out.
Yeah.
So
let's give an example here.
Yeah. So imagine here that you believe that you're not good enough, or that people don't like you, you're not worthy. And so you're in high school and you're walking down the hall and there's a group of people and they're talking. And one of them looks over at you, and then they look back and they keep talking to each other. Now, if you do not believe that people like you or that you're good enough, you're going to think all kinds of things, and it will be the truth to you. It will feel like the truth. You will experience it as the truth. And all it's doing is reinforcing the belief that you already had. Now, let's imagine that you do believe that you're good enough, and the people that like you, same situation. They're standing over there. One of them looks at you. They look back. You're like, oh, maybe I should go say hi. Maybe I should whatever. And you've had a completely different experience that has seriously affected your being, all because of the way that you believe.
Yeah. And I want to talk about this now in more detail with you, especially that electromagnetism we're talking about. And let's just dive deeply. Most of my life in the academic world, everything from kindergarten to PS14 in the Bronx that I went to, all of it was she's slow. She can't read. Maybe we need to keep her back. I mean, you know the language. But then I got to high school and junior high school. And junior high school was my first turnaround. It was my first turnaround, and it happened to be in music, playing the viola, where Dr. DeVito really looked at me and said, he didn't care about what anybody else said about my grades, but he put my fingers on the string of a viola, and it was like magic. And I ended up being one of the youngest people in the city orchestra. I wasn't able to continue, but you see, it changed. When I went to high school, Amy Sarah, one of my teachers, pulled me aside and she said to me, "You're different, but you're really not less than." And so let's talk about how we can shift, because that helped me shift a perspective. And even though I couldn't read or write, I was, what do they call it? I was in charge of the Future Teachers Club, and I got a certificate. I couldn't read or write. So what changed me, right? Let's talk about how that is what happens to most people, unless you're not fortunate enough to have a Michelle Sinclair to work with or to have an Amy Sarah as your teacher.
So what you're talking about is exactly what I do with clients all the time, is take them back to the initial time. So it's just called regression. Take them back to the initial time when something changed. So, lots of times people will go back, let's say, to elementary school. Maybe they were bullied, because kids can be this way. And so they're making fun of them, or something happens. They feel embarrassed. Now they've changed the way that they think about themselves forever. They don't know that this is forever, but they have changed something within themselves. So it typically is outside influences that do this to us. However, I have regressed people. It's still an outside influence, but I have regressed people back to the womb, before you're ever even born, and maybe feeling unwanted or unlovable. And then that sticks with you your whole life. But because these incidents happen typically when people are so young, it's now me. This is who I am. This is how I feel, but it's not. It's not you at all. And then when I'll do something, I'll do forward progression with people. So we've resolved something and I take them forward, like, what does this look like now that it's not there? It's like, oh, it's so good. Okay, what feels more like you? Does this feel more like you or the old way? And it's always the new way. They might say it's a little strange, it's a little whatever, but no, this is definitely me. And, the saying, you'll know the truth and the truth will set you free. It feels like freedom. This is how you know. This is how you know anything. Does this feel like freedom? Because if it doesn't, I'm not believing something that's proper. I'm putting my faith in something that is not what it should be in, if something's not feeling like freedom.
I love this. I want to talk about the idea of reaping, sowing, and past karma that you have to attend to. And I want to talk about how this shows up. Believe it or not, I have had a memory in the past couple days, and I don't know what to do with it. It's a silly thing. I'll just tell you real quick. I'm a young kid, maybe 7. I have a friend, and my friend gets on top of old school, remember the old school blue mailboxes you still find at the post office, right? So my friend gets up there and I pull her off, and she lands on her bum, but on her back. And that is a memory that keeps coming to me now. Now, I can't find her. I don't know where she is. But it is a memory that talks about or is reminding me of a part of my nature that I need to be aware of, right? Not thinking before you do. Hello, that's one of them. But talk about the idea of karma. And then the other thing that's super important is whether or not people believe we can learn things from evil. Do we believe in evil? Now, I got to tell you, I grew up with a mama. And my Mama Doris, she didn't believe in any of that. She's like, so make your bed, you're sleeping it. That was her favorite phrase. So walk us through this on what things that we hold that will either hold us back, or what things that we hold will get us to where we want to go.
So everything is belief, and it all does come down to karma. So let's give an example here. Let's imagine that you have to deal with a certain person, and every time that you deal with them, they behave in this certain way. So what has happened now? You expect that out of them. Now, is it your expectation that they are energetically picking up on and playing out? Yes, because very often, you might know 100 people, and all those people who know those people will have a different view of them compared to you, because your belief about them is based off of your belief. So when somebody comes, when you have someone that's perhaps difficult to deal with, what you can do to deal with them is, before you're going to meet with this person, have a meditation and envision the absolute best outcome. This person doesn't behave in this way. They only present in this particular way. Now, this is real life. I have done this, and it works. And I've talked to my children about it, and I've had my children play this out, and they're like, yeah, no, it really does work. So it is showing you that your belief and your expectation is what's going to play out. So now, in regards to karma, so let's say, here's an example of this that most people wouldn't consider. So let's imagine here that you got this sweet woman, she's so sweet and so nice to her husband, but he's kind of not nice, and she's got to deal with this, but oh wow, just look at her put up with that. Well, perhaps she's not actually very happy. But she doesn't present in this way. But you don't know the inner workings of her mind. You don't know the hidden resentments that are there, and that when she's got a smile on her face, she's actually smiting them. And you don't know these things that go on in people's heads, so you cannot escape that karma. It is not just what you do. It is what you think about, and it is what you speak about that is the true karma. So often people will do something and they'll forget about it, because electromagnetism is at play, right? So you send out this electric thought through magnetism, it's returned to you at some point. And Jesus talked about this. He said, you turn your neighbor down because you're busy and you don't want to help him. He said, well, what happens, a year later when your neighbor comes to you and is mad that, you haven't helped him, or you haven't done this or that. And it's like, you will have forgotten that you did this to your neighbor however long ago. And so when you go to your neighbor and you're like, hey, I need you to help me do this thing, and he says no to you, you'll be so angry and up in arms, forgetting you did the exact same thing to that person. But it's not just the specific acts, it is the frequency that it's sent out in. So let's say I do something to somebody, or I'm thinking really mean thoughts about somebody, and I'm sending out this really mean energy to that person. It will be received by them at some point. It will affect them on some level. You can't escape saying, oh, I hope that, so-and-so doesn't show up for work today. They're just such a miserable person. Well, what's going to happen? That person will receive this energetically, and then they might not start feeling so well. You have actually affected that person. But here's the problem, is it's going to come back to you with interest at some point. So you can't just think bad things about people and, send them these things and smile in their face and assume that, first off, that they're not going to know, because we're pretty intuitive. We know when something's off. But not only that, it will then be received back to you in your life, and you'll be like, oh, why is this happening? Well, it's because you sent it forth first. And now it's coming back to show you, don't do that. Just send out good, because then you're going to get this back instead.
Yeah. And, let's talk about this. You're a leader in the field of this, Michelle. I mean, you've created an institute around this, and this is why people come to you. And I just want to say to everyone out there right now, see, when you're in the world right now, and maybe every time you go to your cell, you flip something and it gives you a headline. I'm not saying you shouldn't be aware, but you're going to need some help into how to navigate this world. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter where you are. You are more powerful than you think. Now, the question is, do you want to be powerful for the greater good and the greater good of yourself? If you do, then you need to get a hold of Michelle, because part of this is not even knowing where to begin. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, the latest studies say people don't even know, quote, how they got here. Well, guess what? Michelle, that's what you help people with. What's the best way for them to connect with you? And you know what I'm talking about. It's like, oh my God, how did I get here, Michelle? Right? How many times have you heard that?
Yeah. And we find it, we discover it, all soul subconscious healing. So they can find me under the Real Healing Institute. I have a daily podcast on YouTube. I have my website is under therealhealinginstitute.com, my Instagram, my Facebook. Everywhere you find me, it's therealhealinginstitute.com.
Okay, let's just talk about this. And I want to ask you this question because this is really where I find the greatest conundrum with people. Well, Michelle, took me 50 years to get here, but you ain't going to change me overnight. Hello, that's not true. Because the kind of work you're talking about, even if you don't change everything, let's say somebody's got like a gigantic laundry list of right, you're on the phone with them an hour and all you hear about what's not working, but you pick something and we can heal that something. My mom, and I've talked about Mama Doris a lot. As a matter of fact, I just sent out an email on something we're doing and I quoted her right at the beginning of the letter. I don't know how she knew what she knew. Maybe she read the Christ letters. I don't know. She never really talked about it. But I'll tell you the one story that she would tell us girls. And again, I'm not the expert at this, you are. But she would talk about, she called it the Christ walk through Samaria. And none of us knew what that was. Like it's a country. We didn't even know. But she would talk about how Jesus decided to take the long road and go through a place and go to a woman at a well. And so she had her own metaphorical view of the world, that sometimes when you take a shortcut, you miss your moment. You see what I'm saying? Now, everybody around him thought he lost his mind. What? We're going to go there? Like, what are we doing? But why did he go there? He went there to reveal to a woman at a well that he was the Messiah. Now, whether you believe this or not, this was my mom's story. He would have missed, and she's very direct, and she would have said, Southern drawl, girls, Jesus would have missed this moment. He would have missed his moment. Jesus moment, girls. Don't you ever go through life and miss your Jesus moment. That's what she would say. But you understand what she's saying. We have moments we could get help. We can heal. It took me later in life to do that. But let's talk about the possibilities that people have to really reconstruct their electromagnetic field to attract what they want, because this is what you do.
So if you were to imagine, okay, let's say just somebody's in a bad mood all the time and they're really negative, and you were to think about the vibrations, actual vibrations that they're putting out of their body, they're all negative. And so electromagnetism, it's going out and it's returning back to them. So then they have more things to complain about. And because they keep sending it out, they keep getting more. The universe does not know, oh, this isn't actually what I want. It just knows what you are and what you're presenting with. So through systematically cleansing your mind of things like anger, resentment, hate, unforgiveness, spite, complaining, criticism, negativity, all of the low vibrational things. And if it's low vibrational, because when you're hanging out with somebody, do you want to hear about any of that? No, you don't. You don't want to be around that. But you really like being around people who are positive and don't complain and have really good things to say about other people, because it feels a certain way, because it's an actual higher vibration. And so when you can heal these things, which there's so much that goes into that, but when you can heal those things, then you're automatically putting out a higher vibration, and then you're attracting more wonderful things. So after several years ago, I'm driving down to the States from Canada after, another enlightening, amazing experience that I've had. And I started to say, I'm living in heaven, and every day I get something for free. And so I just would say that every day. And every day I would get proof of that. I would get something for free and I would have something weird, crazy, magical, mystical happen that was showing, well, of course that happened. We're living in heaven. Of course this would happen. And it's showing my beliefs to me. But previous to this, I was holding unhealed things within myself. And so you're only going to get back what you are. And so, yeah, you might have some amazing things. So you might get some amazing energies coming back to you. But if the storehouse of what you're holding is, 78% not super high vibe, well, you're going to get 78% not super high vibe stuff back to you. So it's all about healing all of those things. And the best way to do this is to put yourself in alignment with divine love, because there's nothing more true and real and wonderful than that. That was what Jesus preached about. He would talk about the love, and then he would heal people to prove it to them. That's all he was doing.
Yeah. And when we say that's all he was doing, everything he did, we are capable of doing.
100%. He was a man.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So part of this is understanding that I have not been able to clear things on my own. I just need to be clear. I have I have worked with some great people, and I'm not done. Because even today, I would buy into my partner telling me how unlucky I am. I'd buy into it, and ultimately I'd fall. And I came 3 inches from hitting the edge of a table with my head. That's how powerful this is. Michelle, thank you. Please give out your website, but I want to know your personal message, because can you imagine if within an hour we could call something like that in? Can you imagine what we could call in for ourselves in the world?
Oh, yeah. The message is heal yourself and invest in yourself, because you matter so much more than you really even know. Because when you heal yourself, then it's like the 100th monkey experiment, and pretty soon it radiates throughout the whole world. And then people are shifting that haven't even done the work, just through the collective energies that are there. And so truly healing yourself is the least selfish thing you could do. Think about someone that you love, and when they're feeling really good, you're feeling really good. So it's a wonderful gift, not only that you give to yourself, but that you give to everyone, and that you bring into your environment and the world around you. Heal yourself. So important.
And thank you. Please let everybody know how they can work with you.
So the Real Healing Institute, I offer several different programs. I offer just, one-off sessions. And I also offer spiritual mentorship, which is a really amazing program that you get to complete it with a 3-week journey by yourself out in nature. And that really seals the deal. But therealhealinginstitute.com is my website, and the Real Healing Institute, you can find me on all social media platforms.
And I'm Dr. Pat, and remember what we just shared with you today. I'm not kidding. You don't even have to say the word, but if somebody says to you, unlucky, you need to have some tools to erase that. Because even though you think you are not taking that in, you don't want to fall. Thank you, Michelle, for everything. Thank you all for tuning us and turning us on. And for many of you out there, you've heard us reference the Christ letters. Maybe we'll be able to tell you the best source or place to go for those in some of the upcoming shows. Maybe we'll even get a little bit deeper into it. Thank you. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining the Real Healing Institute show with me, Michelle Sinclair. Tune in every second and fourth Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com for more empowering ways to spread love and set yourself free. Together, we'll elevate the consciousness of the planet. Stay connected. Follow me on social media, subscribe to the podcast, and explore the Mental Cleanse series on YouTube. Ready to go deeper? Book a session with Michelle at therealhealinginstitute.com. Until next time, keep healing, keep growing, and remember, love is the only way.